The year of the vanishing birds. A calm morning light gently poured over a sleepy town, bathing empty streets and silent parks in an almost eerie glow. The sky, which on any other day had been filled with the lively chatter and cheerful tunes of countless birds, now carried only quiet solitude. This was not merely a change in the weather or the passage of time. It was as though the atmosphere had absorbed an unimaginable secret. In the early hours before sunrise, something unfathomable had occurred. Over the course of just one day, millions of birds had inexplicably vanished from the earth. What followed was a rapid descent into mystery and fear. In this narrative, the events that unfolded are recounted with careful detail, from that first bewildering moment of silence, through a series of stunning ideas and speculations, to a world forever altered by this inexplicable loss. In the hours before dawn, as the earth remained cloaked in the soft embrace of night, subtle hints of disruption began to surface. There was no sudden turmoil in the skies, no audible alarm from nature, only a deep, hollow absence where the delicate fluttering of wings and the harmonious songs of feathered creatures used to reign. The absence was noticed first as a curious omission, a missing note in the familiar morning symphony. Even the wind, which once carried the gentle murmurs of nature's choir, seemed to exhale more cautiously as if it too was mourning the silence. As the day advanced, the realization of what had occurred spread like an unfathomable whisper. Through quiet neighborhoods and bustling city squares alike, sowing the seeds of unease among many. Throughout the morning, the atmosphere took on an almost tangible quality of disbelief. Neighbors exchanged uneasy glances while stepping out to fetch newspapers or to water their gardens, only to confront a profound absence that defied explanation. In suburban backyards and urban rooftops, where birds had been constant companions and joyful heralds of a new day, there were only empty perches and silent wire grids. Across the globe, the phenomenon was both localized and expansive, a reminder that the planet was united in its reliance on these small, bright creatures that had always been seen as innocent ambassadors of life. A few scattered scientists and natural historians ventured out into the quiet, notebooks in hand, tasked with capturing every detail of a day that seemed to have fallen into an altogether different realm of experience. As observers wandered through once vibrant parks transformed into silent expanses, the contrast between memory and present reality grew stark and unsettling. There was an intensity in the emptiness, a solemn, almost mournful beauty that underscored the uniqueness of the loss. Every tree branch, every rustle of leaves, every patch of sunlight that failed to be interrupted by a fleeting shadow zigzagging through the air contributed to a collective sense of suspect tranquility. It was as if nature itself had intentionally paused, holding its breath in anticipation of what might come next. The disappearance of the birds was not a gradual fading but a sudden, impenetrable void that demanded explanation, one that the world's scientific community would soon find itself grappling with. In laboratories and research centers that very morning, furrowed brows and tense silence replaced what would have been the routine hum of daily research. The initial responses were fraught with confusion, as experts attempted to reconcile this abrupt anomaly with the well-documented patterns of migration, reproduction, and natural cycles. Every recorded chirp, every documented flutter seemed to have evaporated into thin air, leaving behind a riddle that no one dared to ignore. The mystery was as vast as it was perplexing, inviting theories that stretched far beyond the conventional understanding of nature's rhythms. Such an extraordinary event would soon be dissected into fragments by scientists eager to decode its origins, a challenge that would shake the foundation of what was once assumed to be a predictable world. Thus began the unfolding of a truly haunting timeline, a day when the world indeed went quiet. Each minute of that first morning was etched indelibly into the minds of those who experienced it, a vignette of perplexity and foreboding that signaled the beginning of an era in which nothing would ever be the same. The quiet was not simply a soundless void. It was an echo of a deeper shift, an invitation to investigate the hidden corners of reality that often went unnoticed. As the sun climbed higher, casting its golden glow upon a landscape stripped of its customary orchestra of bird calls, the narrative of the vanished birds had only just begun its somber recitation. Following the initial shock was a flurry of theories, each more audacious than the last, as experts and curious onlookers alike sought answers to the most disquieting question of all. What had happened to the birds? In the wake of the vanishing, the mind turned to the possibility of a glitch within nature itself. A catastrophic error in the universal code that once governed the cycles of life and death. Some posited that a drastic shift in electromagnetic fields had disrupted innate biological rhythms, rendering the birds disoriented or even driven to an irresistible, mysterious exodus. Others speculated that some form of accelerated evolutionary leap had silently taken hold, forcing the once visible and vocal creatures into a hidden dimension, leaving the terrestrial world devoid of their presence. Among the myriad ideas, one particularly surreal possibility captured the public imagination: that the birds had been lured away by forces not of this earth. This notion, at first appearing as the ramblings of desperate minds, gradually took on a semblance of plausibility in the light of unexplained atmospheric disturbances and transient energy readings. It was as if an invisible hand had reached into the natural order, plucking the birds from the skies with a precision that defied both logic and expectation. The air itself seemed charged with enigmatic energy. Scientists recorded fluctuations that did not correspond to any known meteorological phenomenon. In the midst of whispered speculation, scientific inquiry merged with the poetic. Nature's silence was interpreted as a cryptic message, an urgent missive sent from the far reaches of the cosmos. The unfolding narrative of the vanished birds compelled investigators to contemplate the interconnectedness of all natural systems. The loss of the solitary songbird was suddenly recast as an indicator of broader ecological shifts, a harbinger of deeper imbalances permeating the planet's life-sustaining networks. As researchers delved into historical records, there emerged faint echoes of similar, though less dramatic, incidents. A temporary pause in the avian symphony following sporadic volcanic eruptions or episodes of intense solar activity. Yet none of those events compared to the sheer magnitude and abruptness of this disappearance. It was as though the phenomenon had been meticulously choreographed, the result of a complex interplay of natural and perhaps even inexplicable external forces. Every theory was examined with both rigorous scientific method and an openness to the possibilities that lay beyond conventional understanding. The theories eventually coalesced into broader reflections on humanity's relationship with nature. The birds had always been more than mere creatures of flight and song. They served as delicate sentinels of environmental well-being and as vibrant symbols of freedom and renewal. Without them, there was an intangible loss, a disruption that resonated within the hearts of communities across continents. This void was also a mirror reflecting the modern era's propensity to take for granted the soft, often overlooked miracles that sustained life. In every silent corner of public parks, every empty rooftop bathed in a sunlit memory of fluttering wings, the absence of the birds planted seeds of introspection among those who witnessed it. Their vanishing forced a re-examination of established assumptions about the resilience of nature and the fragility underlying its elegant tapestry. The mystery also ignited a surge of creativity among storytellers and artists, who saw in the silence an opportunity to explore the delicate balance between wonder and dread. The phenomena took on mythic dimensions, a tale woven into the fabric of the everyday, suggesting that nature itself harbored secrets that defied human comprehension. In this unfolding tapestry of theories and conjectures, the disappearance of the birds emerged as a potent allegory, a reminder that even the most familiar and enduring parts of the natural world could be swept away in an instant, leaving behind both an unsettling absence and a call for deeper reflection. Audiences were drawn into an immersive exploration of the unknown, where every theory, whether grounded in science or in the intangible realm of the mystical, contributed to a mosaic that transformed the tragedy into a profound narrative of loss, resilience, and the inexorable march of change. As the days turned into weeks, the quiet that had descended in that fateful morning permeated every facet of life, overwhelming both the raw beauty and the raw vulnerability of the world. The initial shock gave way to a haunting uncertainty, the future now perceived as a landscape where nature's guardians had vanished, leaving behind remnants of memories and unanswered questions. In forests that once echoed with the gentle rustling of feathers amidst the breeze, the silence assumed a weight that was almost palpable. Every tree, every blade of grass, every shimmering raindrop was imbued with the lingering resonance of voices lost. The disappearance became a symbol of transformation, of a world teetering precariously on the edge of an irreversible evolution. Within this profound quietude, the absence of birdsong began to reveal its true impact. In the very fabric of the environment, the vanished melodies had woven themselves into the natural order, affecting pollination, seed dispersal, and even the generational cycles of other species. The subtle, often unnoticed contributions of the birds to the ecosystem now stood out in the stark light of their absence, as if nature were speaking in a hushed tone about the delicate interdependence of all life. Local communities that once resonated with the daily ritual of birdsong now felt as if a vital thread in their shared existence had been severed. In the empty skies, every silent curl of vapor and every drifting cloud seemed charged with a melancholy that spread slowly, leaving behind an uneasy question about the nature of balance itself. As the world began to adjust to the new normal of this unforeseen void, reflections on the past intertwined with cautious hopes for the future. The disappearance of the birds had created an unspoken space for introspection, inviting even the most pragmatic minds to consider the transformative potential of loss. It compelled society to search for meaning amid circumstances that at first appeared to be simply catastrophic. Researchers, poets, and everyday citizens found common ground in their shared wonder at the mystery, a convergence that illuminated not only the inherent fragility of nature but also its ability to inspire awe even in moments of overwhelming absence. The vanished birds, though no longer visible in the skies or audible in the crackling stillness of the earth, had in their silence ignited a poignant dialogue about the unseen forces that bind life together. In the lingering twilight of that surreal day, when shadows stretched long and the absence of birds was felt in every corner of existence, the world collectively embraced both bewilderment and hope. The unaccountable quiet had gradually, almost imperceptibly, woven itself into the narrative of human experience as a constant reminder of nature's powerful, unpredictable dynamism. The phenomenon had become a chapter in the larger story of Earth, a story punctuated by moments of inexplicable change that demanded both scientific inquiry and the tender acknowledgement of mystery. Even as experts continued to analyze data and sift through the remnants of vanished patterns, the enduring truth was that some questions remained as open and as vast as the sky itself. Thus, the vanishing of the birds transformed from a singular event into a timeless saga, a reflection of nature's capacity to surprise, to unsettle, and ultimately to remind humanity that life is a delicate tapestry, woven with threads both visible and hidden. The silence that now blanketed the earth was not merely a gap in sound, but a profound silence filled with the weight of potential, of unanswered mysteries, and the ever-present possibility that, somewhere beyond the horizon, the guardians of the sky might one day reclaim their stage. In that silent expanse, the legacy of the vanished birds lived on, a legacy defined as much by the questions they left behind as by the beauty of their fleeting, irreplaceable presence. It was in this silence that the world was forced to reckon with an unsettling truth. Nature, in all its splendor and complexity, was never immune to change. The birds, whose voices had once carried messages of hope and renewal, were now an echo, a spectral reminder that every part of the natural world was interconnected, fragile, and in constant flux. The profound absence that touched every corner of existence became a catalyst for deeper reflection, a call to cherish the nuances of life even in the midst of uncertainty. Every heartbeat of the earth seemed to pulse with the memory of their song, a resonant whisper that reverberated through time, urging humanity to look beyond the immediate and embrace the vast, wondrous silence that remained. In the end, the tale of the vanished birds was not simply a record of an inexplicable disappearance, but a meditation on the beauty and impermanence of life itself. It was a reminder that every moment, whether filled with the joyous melodies of nature or the quiet hush of unexpected loss, held within it the potential to transform the way the world was seen. The legacy of that inexplicable day was etched into the continuum of time, a narrative that encouraged all who witnessed it to contemplate not only the fragility of existence but also the resilient hope that lay dormant in the quiet spaces between the flutter of wings and the silence of a world in transition.